Welcome to Asian Music Idol, your ultimate backstage pass to the hottest stars and stories in Asian pop.
Okay, let's jump in. Have you ever thought about dance not just as, movement, but as a kind of language?
Oh, absolutely. Like a way to say things you can't quite put into words.
Exactly, a language for emotions, for telling a story. It's powerful stuff.
It really is. And that kind of reframes how you watch performance, doesn't it? Not just steps, but communication.
Totally. And that perspective is, well, it's perfect for our deep dive today. We're looking at the source material you brought in, an article called Hyunjin, Dance as Poetic Expression.
Right.
And our mission really is to unpack how this article sees Hyunjin from Stray Kids using dance to, well, basically speak with his body.
Yeah, the core idea in the article is pretty fascinating. It suggests he turns dance into something like written expression, like a dialogue or maybe a monologue, but crafted entirely in motion.
A monologue in motion, I like that.
It paints this picture where, every step could be a sentence, a turn might be a question, and even the pauses.
Yeah.
They're loaded with meaning.
That's such a vivid way to describe it. It's not just what the body's doing, but what it's actually saying.
Mm-hmm.
And the source really tries to pin down what makes his approach unique. It suggests it's not just about amazing technique, which, okay, he definitely has.
Right, the technique is there, but the article argues it's more about his ability to genuinely feel something first, internally, and then let that feeling kind of drive the movement.
So embodying it rather than just performing it, is that the idea?
Exactly. That's the word the article uses,
Yeah.
embodying. It goes beyond just interpreting the music or hitting the marks. The source points to how he translates like raw emotion into physical form.
Yeah, I remember it mentioning specific examples, maybe from practice videos or special stages, where he seems to add layers, not necessarily in the official choreography.
Yes, it highlights these really specific, sometimes subtle details, things that maybe aren't in the original plan.
Like what sort of things?
Well, the article mentions maybe a sudden sharp pause that wasn't there before, or his fingers trembling, or even taking a quiet gasp, stuff that isn't in the song, but becomes part of his story in that moment.
Wow, okay. So adding those almost vulnerable touches.
Yeah, raw human details makes his style feel incredibly theatrical, the article argues. It positions him as a storyteller,
Yeah.
a poet using movement.
So less about looking perfect and more about expressing something maybe messy or real inside.
Precisely. The article mentions an interview bit where he apparently talked about it being about releasing something, not just achieving a certain look.
And this focus on, let's call it rawness over like perfect angles or being perfectly in sync. That's another big point from the article, right?
Definitely. It suggests his movements aren't always perfectly controlled or contained.
Yeah.
Sometimes they might sort of spill over.
And that's the point, that imperfection.
That seems to be the argument. That's what makes it feel so human, so relatable. The article mentions him sometimes dancing with his eyes closed, just lost in it. It frames this vulnerability, this artistic honesty, as absolutely key.
Okay, which leads into why fans connect so deeply, according to the source.
Right. The argument is that people aren't just wowed by perfect technique, they're moved by authenticity. The source suggests maybe he's dancing their feelings, their pain, maybe their confusion, their hopes.
Giving shape to things that are hard to talk about.
Exactly. Things that are really difficult for people, especially maybe young people, to articulate in their own lives.
That's quite profound, actually. Thinking about it that way, the article almost paints his dancing as a kind of therapy.
Sort of, yeah. Like it shows that feeling things really deeply isn't some kind of weakness.
But something you can turn into art, into something powerful.
Mm-hmm. It validates those intense emotions.
So if we step back and look at the bigger picture the article is painting.
Well, it makes a strong case for him standing out as an artist. It argues he shows that dance isn't just, entertainment. It can be literature.
The body speaking louder than words.
You got it.
Yeah.
He doesn't need a mic for his most powerful statements, according to this perspective.
Okay, so wrapping this up. What have we really unpacked from this source? We've seen how it frames Hyunjin's dance as this deep language.
Yeah, a language translating raw feeling using these unique, vulnerable details.
And valuing that rawness, that storytelling aspect, which creates this really strong connection. It really does make you appreciate nonverbal communication on a whole other level.
For sure. So much meaning beyond just spoken words.
Absolutely. And it kind of leaves us, and maybe you listening, with a thought to chew on. If dance can be this incredibly profound way to express deep emotion and vulnerability, What other nonverbal ways do you see people sharing their deepest selves out there in the world?
That's a great question to ponder.
Thanks for watching Asian Music Idol. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay updated with the hottest buzz in Asian pop culture.